Hey guys, Mythical Plow here, and I too hate living in Nevada. Welcome to Dead Rails, a realistic simulation of a state that does not exist. Now this may look like Cheyenne, Wyoming, but in fact you're actually living in 1844, and this is your only form of transportation. Train games in a nutshell too, I can't do it. The goal of this game is to get as far as possible using outdated machines that contribute to global warming. But there is more to this game than meets the eye. Not much more, but more enough for me to spend 3 hours playing it. You spawn in a low-income housing environment in the middle of bumfuck nowhere, and you're told to bring the bar of gold to the market so you can barely afford gas for your big-ass car. And then, you drive. Forever. While we're driving, I'll explain the lore of this game to you. Supposedly, the fentanyl virus has wiped out every sign of civilization in the Mojave, but for some reason a cure was found in Mexico. So yes, you are in fact making a run for the border. Many think that Nevada is just a desolate place full of sands and tweakers. It's actually a desolate place full of sands, tweakers, and random-ass buildings in the middle of nowhere. Depending on what building they are, you can obtain different items. At gunsmith and sheriff buildings, you can find guns and ammo. At doctor buildings, you can find medical equipment. And in general stores and furniture buildings, there's, random-ass bullshit to go. Every 10 kilometers, you will find an outpost. This is like a safe zone where you can sell and buy more shit. There's other structures like castles and forts, where waves of enemies will hoard your ass until you die of internal bleeding. There's abandoned towns, some of which have zombies, and some will have funny silly skull emojis in the caves. Lastly, the bandit camps are rare locations that provide weapons and random junk. Sometimes you'll run into crackheads. Attempting to enter their property will allow you to experience what the Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone does to your body. When you cut the homeless in half by 2025, you can put their corpses into the train's firebox so that you can go an extra quarter mile. There's also bandits on horseback who wish to steal your bank account information, vampires that apparently can sell for $15 at your local supermarket, and alpha wolves that like your personal space too much. In addition to these enemies, there's also which you can build at the silly BDSM building. Apparently this guy is meant to be the brain of Nikola Tesla, but I like to think that a goofy sentient jar somehow knows how to walk with werewolf legs. There's a lot of shit in this game, many of which can be added to your firebox or sold for $5. Junk items can either be used as fuel or sold for 1 Ugandan shilling. Valuable items are better at garnering money, usually selling for around $35. The weapon items are exactly what you think they are. There are guns, melee, and throwables like dynamite. Tool items encompass a variety of objects like bandages for healing, barbed wire in case you aren't enough of a schizo as is, and galvanized square steel. Lastly, certain items are required in doing certain puzzles, like opening bank vaults or fighting this abomination. When you finally make it to the Mexican-American border, you will encounter a bandit outpost guarding a bridge. After killing them all, you may want to stock up on ammunition because the horde is coming for your ass. Turning the crank will activate a timer and release a horde of bandits and zombies to defend against. However, if you're feeling a little South African, you can cheese this segment by simply placing a Maxim machine gun on the back of your train. Once the timer reaches 0, the game will end and you'll be taken back to the lobby area. You'll probably notice that on the right of your screen there is a currency. These are called bonds and are used to buy classes or trains in the lobby area. There are 3 train variants, which consists of this thing. Pretty good, but it takes more fuel and more time to accelerate. And the best one, there are also different classes you can buy to grant you different items when you first start. Instead of going through and listing them all, I'm gonna make a tier list so that I can appease the meta slaves. Miner. S tier. Spawning with a pickaxe is a huge upgrade from the base class. Not only is it a better melee weapon, but can also mine the rocks along the track for resources. The helmet light is a nice bonus too. Musician. F tier. This is probably the worst class in the game. You only spawn with a banjo that heals people around you. You don't even spawn with anything useful and is only made for team play. Doctor. C tier. While this class can be useful in solo, it's mostly geared for team play. You spawn with 2 of each medical item and can revive players using half your health. Arsonist. C tier. Neutral class that finds only situational use. You spawn with 4 Molotov cocktails for crowd control. Necromancer. C tier. You have a 25% chance to reanimate enemies to fight for you if you kill them with a melee weapon. The downside is that you lose 10% HP when doing so. Packmaster. D tier. You spawn with 3 tamed wolves and can tame any wolf that attacks you. This is a very situational use and was pretty much here because of the Dances with Wolves badge. Cowboy. A tier. You spawn with a revolver with plenty of ammo as well as a tamed horse. This is quite cracked for when you need high damage for early game loot at infected towns and whatnot. The Alamo. C tier. While not very situational, there are better ways to obtain barbed wire and sheet metal without sacrificing a class slot. High Roller. A tier. You gain 1.5 times more money, but are 10 times more likely to get struck by lightning. The lightning generally isn't an issue if you buy a lightning rod, which most general stores tend to sell. Conductor. S tier. You gain faster driving speed and 2 free coal at the cost of a melee weapon. Being able to drive faster and have additional fuel at the start means that you can travel to more structures during the day, and the lack of a melee weapon is generally not a problem if you buy a gun at game start. Werewolf. S tier. While you're the same during the day, at night you gain additional speed, melee damage, gun damage, and health. This is essentially the same as the default class, but you gain more benefits at the more dangerous part of the day. Priest. C tier. A somewhat middle-of-the-road class that grants you immunity to lightning while also giving you 2 crucifixes and 2 holy water items. These are one-time use weapons only, and lightning is almost never going to be a problem. I'd use a different class with more pronounced benefit. Survivalist. B tier. A somewhat decent class that increases melee damage that scales with taking damage. While it can leave you more vulnerable, the increased damage is nothing to scoff at, with one-shots being quite common. Also, this class is useful in dealing with werewolves. Vampire. D tier. You gain extra movement speed and melee damage at the cost of taking damage in direct sunlight. This is a massive penalty, and the benefits do not outweigh the costs. This is essentially a worse version of the werewolf. Zombie. S tier. You can eat bodies to gain health and have a lower detection radius, but are unable to use traditional healing items. I barely use healing items to begin with, and by the contrary, bodies are almost always plentiful, especially when you're within an outpost. Milkman. D tier. Gains extra melee damage, running speed, and regeneration when you're drenched in milk. With the exception of the milk bottle you start with, it's very unlikely that you'll find more to make a difference during your run. Ironclad. F tier. I can't think of an instance where you would absolutely need this armor. Also, the movement speed reduction is simply not worth it. Do keep in mind that this is my own personal opinion. If you think my opinion is wrong, then I'll give you a light pat on the back. So what do I think about this game? I mean, it's not terrible or anything, but there is no way that upwards of 530,000 people play this game. There's no other modes, and there's barely any replay value. You play it once and you've basically seen everything. So yeah, dog shit. Make sure to like and subscribe, or I will hit you over the head with a shovel, put you in my trunk, and strand you in the Mojave Desert.